Now that you have some priority items you want to work on, let's discuss where most people spend and waste the most time. I, along with some other prominent thinkers, have identified a number of areas where time is wasted. This isn't to say that these activities are always a waste of time, though they definitely are sometimes, or that they're inherently unimportant. When I say that time is wasted on them, I'm suggesting that more time is invested on these activities than is necessary. It's in these areas that we'll make our biggest wins. So, what are these things? Well, let me start with an example. Have you ever sent an email to someone with a question or concern only to receive a reply that requires further follow-up? You're sending back and forth emails, trying to understand each other, when perhaps a simple phone call would be more effective. That's a perfect, although very basic example of time wasted. And it happens every day. We'll get to email and communication later, but for now, here are some key areas we're going to tackle that probably cost you a lot of productivity. Of course, how we spend our time is highly variable for each person, and so giving you stats or averages like the average American watches 2.2 hours of TV per day, or the average sales professional spends 84 minutes a day on email, these stats are meaningless for you. If you're interested, I've posted a link to a highly detailed and interactive breakdown by the New York Times showing how different groups spend their time down to the nitty-gritty details. It's absolutely fascinating, but not really important for progressing through this course. Instead, let me give you some more generic observations of some categories. These types of time wasters don't correspond to the sections of the course. Instead, each section will invariably have techniques for avoiding each of them. In any case, it's good to talk about them and start thinking about them in advance. This, by the way, is another one of those learning philosophies that I mentioned in the first lecture. So, how do we waste time? The first category is communication, scheduling, and planning with others, basically situations where our productivity or efficiency is dependent on someone else. This includes emails, texting, other inefficiencies. It also includes waiting 3 days for an email reply for your boss before you can start working on a project. The second type is unnecessary effort or doing things slowly or ineffectively. A good example of this would be running on a treadmill for an hour and a half, when in fact you can generate the same health benefits in a properly designed 12-minute workout. We'll cover that later. Another example might be searching through folders on your computer for a file that you need 3 times a day. Or how about sleeping 8 hours when the last 30 minutes of sleep you're just tossing and turning anyway? You get the idea. The next area where people waste time is in ineffectively structuring or stacking tasks. If you're the kind of person who folds one shirt at a time on the table and then turns around to put it in the closet, this is exactly the kind of stuff we're going to try and eliminate. With different strategies and hacks, we're going to try and figure out how to make the most of our attention and effort by structuring our activities intelligently. Finally, there's the element of choice and placing your efforts wisely on things that you're good at and giving up on the rest. If you've ever met someone who insists on fixing their own car, even if it takes them 6 hours and isn't quite a perfect fix, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about here. We're going to talk about how to decide what is and isn't an effective use of time, and how to be honest with yourself about how time is invested. Hopefully, you see some of these elements in your day-to-day life already, and you're both ready and excited to tackle them. The next lecture is going to be a PDF syllabus and a downloadable file of hyperlinks. Don't just skip over that. Download and save both of them and import them into your bookmarks on your browser of choice. You're going to want all the supplementary materials and resources and the PDF right there for easy access.